Alright. We can finally bump this up to where it needs to go. Whoa, what happened? Alright, class, it's pop quiz time. Matt, you should be able to do this with an intelligence of 20. What? I need you to solve a problem. Okay. It's calculus. Uh-oh. Story problem. And don't forget... Oh, please no. Show your... Please don't say it. Work. No! Hey y'all, I'm Matt, and today we're going to be talking about playing a high intelligence character. Do you need to be a genius to do it? Absolutely not. We don't expect the player to be able to lift a giant off a crocodile, nor do we expect you to be able to cast spells in real life. So why would we expect the player to be as smart as their character? We're role-playing, so we can be the characters we want to be, whether they're very close to how we are in real life. So I gave you the most powerful weapon in the game. Why aren't you using it? This one looks cooler. Or if they're the furthest thing from what we are in real life. It's a party. There are people everywhere. What do? I go in. Now, as far as roleplay goes, honestly, we can just let the dice do the talking. Typically, your intelligence in 5e governs the following skills: Arcana, History, Investigation, Nature, and Religion. If you're nervous about role-playing a hyper-intelligent character, don't worry about it. We can just lean on the dice rolls and have the DM provide us the information that our character would know, and that's perfectly valid. But there are some ways we can play high intelligence characters without needing to method act our way into high intelligence. Find your niche. Now, I didn't know Stephen Hawking very well, but I feel like he was the ultimate in intelligence when it came to science. But would I go to him if I needed an expert in the mating habits of the Arctic tern? Or if I needed an analyst who could tell me why Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time? Intelligence in the real world is very rarely an overarching concept that hits everything. Usually, intelligence is measured in how well you know one specific field. Now, if you want to find your niche at the table, you can do this in two ways. One, you can rely on your own knowledge. Say you're super into the history of professional wrestling. Then, when you've got a character that's hyper intelligent and proficient in history, you can reference that. Or at least something similar. Okay, roll a history for me. Natural 20. Great. So you know that this enemy once fought in a great battle and seized victory by tricking her opponent with illusion magic. Ah, yes. I'm familiar with this sort of ruse. The great warrior, Khan Jina, had a similar tactic, where he would wave his hand in front of his face and then his opponent could no longer see him. 2. You could have your own list of facts that you whip out and deliver. Say you really like goats, and you rolled that same natural 20. This enemy fought in a great battle and seized victory by fooling her opponent with illusion magic. Ah, yes. I'm familiar with this kind of ruse. My sister once got herself and me a pair of goat mounts. You see, she convinced our parents to get one goat, but lo and behold, our goat grew ill. Upon taking Gruff to the goat master, they informed us that goats become depressed if without a goat companion. And so, we got another goat. Breadth versus depth. I included this because I love bread, and it's right there in the word. Bread. Sorry. Anyway, by contrast, you don't have to be super knowledgeable in one topic. I know plenty of people who might be considered jacks of all trades, especially in the improv world. Now, these jacks know a little bit about many different topics. You can think of this as like someone who's really good at trivia, in which case, if you want to play with breadth, then it's just a matter of finding some random bit of trivia that happens to tie in at the moment. So the founder of Atari also founded Chuck E. Cheese. Well, there's the direct gain, clearly, of starting a popular play place with mediocre pizza and terrifying giant bipedal animals. But it also feeds back into Atari, who supplies gaming machines. So here, it means that our culprit has more to gain from this attack than we suspected. Of course, he did loot the vault. but I suspect that breaking into the bank also provided some other benefit. No knowledge. How do you play high intelligence that doesn't have knowledge? Well, maybe your character doesn't know the information, but has the capacity to learn very quickly. Maybe they haven't memorized the facts from Fantasy University, but have enough logical processing power to be able to put 2 and 2 together so they can deduce the answer. It may not be as straightforward of an answer, but it can be justified. An example of this may be a sophisticated but new AI. Roll an investigation for me. Nat 20. Okay, so you see a crack in the floor, just peeking out from behind the carpet. It appears there's a secret passageway here. I may have just been built yesterday, but already I can see that the culprit, if they're as slow as Brian, then they would not have been able to make the escape through the normal passages. Please, let's look in the secret passage. This method does require a bit more improvisation from you, because you're operating from a very limited field of experience and knowledge. But you have to be able to logically string together clues in a way to justify your conclusion. I would also like to add that having a 20 or above in intelligence does not make your character infallible. A genius is not without error. You can use this to enhance your roleplay by adding some blind spots. Consider an example of a hyper-intelligent character in media. Let's look at Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock Holmes. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. Now in this scene, he analyzes Dr. Watson's love interest, Mary Morstan, and continues well beyond the novelty of the act wearing off. She throws her drink in his face when he gets one key bit of information wrong, that she did not leave her former love because of wealth, but that he died. Though he is massively intelligent, he's left to his dinner alone. The servers bring the food almost on cue as Mary and Dr. Watson leave. Now we can interpret this in a couple different ways. Maybe Sherlock Holmes planned for this slight to happen and asked the waitstaff to deliver his exact meal immediately after the other two left. High intelligence maybe predicted her response and wanted to eat alone. Or 2, maybe Sherlock Holmes did not plan for his error, and the delivery of the meal just so happened to coincide in movie magic time so that we could feel the impact of his mistake, and he has to eat alone. One gives him more credit for his ability to predict. The other gives him more humanity in that he's capable of making a mistake. In either interpretation, we see one blind spot of his. His logic and potential selfishness here override his compassion. So if you're playing a character of extreme intellect, you can find these little blind spots where your character, though extremely smart, doesn't make the smartest move overall. Now we've been looking at high intelligence in a vacuum. We have so much more room to play if we take other ability scores into account. But that's all the time I have this evening. If you want to see high intelligence plus low other ability scores or any other combination, please leave a comment and subscribe so that you don't miss the next installment. Until next time, take care.